Hello world, welcome to Oz by Drone. I'm Greg and he's not John. In fact, he is Arthur Carlson. Hello and welcome,
Woo-hoo!
Arthur.
Great to be here. Awesome.
Mate, it's good to have you. Thank you for filling in. Last week, I mentioned to people that I was looking for temporary fill-in co-hosts while John was away, and I wanted to mix it up a bit and have a few different people, and Arthur was one of those people who volunteered. So thanks for joining us, Arthur. What's been happening for you this week?
Well, I just found out that England has a new prime minister, Boris Yeltsin.
Yeah, what's going on with that? I mean, we had an election ourselves not so long ago, and they said, it's going to be a walk in the park, and the current prime minister is going to get out. But that didn't happen. It turned out he was quite happy with the outcome. And, then we've got this happening in London, and I wonder what's going to happen with Trump. That's another story in the US, but let's not go there for today.
Well, wasn't Boris Johnson, isn't he the singer for AC/DC?
No.
Okay.
Anyway.
Boris Badenoch?
I can't remember his name, but anyway, let's go on. So this week, just out of interest for me, my wallet, I spoke about it last time, was, shall we say, obtained by a nefarious person while I was out getting a hamburger. The good news is that I've got a dash cam on the front and back of my car, and that footage was able to be used. And the photo of this guy, he was identified and recognized by police. So that's really good. And it's proof of the usefulness of dash cams in your car. Definitely something that I would suggest people should think about putting in. Mine is a front and back dash cam. So, it's getting both sides, and you could see him kind of circling like a shark getting ready to eat his prey. Now, I won't share that footage just yet, but after any legal matters and all of that, I'll definitely share that with our audience here. I might have to blur out his face or something, but yeah, it was not a happy day.
Put a sad face over him.
A sad face over him, yeah. Nefarious is the Aussie word of the day, according to Grumpy. Okay, well, with that, let's get into the news of the day and what's happening in the news. Now, our first story today is the Love Boat. Now, some cruise lines have made a point of banning drone operations on board their ships. At least one cruise line is embracing the popular technology. Onboard MSC cruises, interested passengers can learn how to fly at the Drone Academy and then be given a chance to compete in teams. They'll race through nearly 5,000 square foot arena while navigating 15 different obstacles in the quickest time possible.
Cool.
That is kind of funky. It's definitely going to have to be an indoor arena. I just can't imagine them doing that outside, but...
Yeah, it'd be like, oh crap. Drone overboard.
Drone overboard, yeah. Have you done any cruising yourself at any time, Arthur?
No, I haven't. No, it just doesn't really appeal to me. It's like a hotel on water.
Yeah. But by the same token, it's like you go somewhere and instead of unpacking and repacking every time you get to your next location, you just take the hotel with you. So that's kind of a good idea. I know my parents definitely do a lot of cruising. They love it. But let's move on to our second story today, and that is a disaster story. Last weekend, South Florida first responders were busy practicing how they would use unmanned aircraft systems to help respond to major storms in their region. The primary objective of UAS Drone's disaster exercise was to provide a realistic testing environment to assess the various capabilities of first responder drone teams during a large-scale incident response. One company has launched a mobile command center solution to help with events like this. So this is one particular company doing something in this area, and I think the whole idea of a ready-to-use emergency disaster response thing is kind of neat. I mean, especially around Florida, and there are other sensitive parts of the world where you don't necessarily have the appropriate stuff ready to go, so you need that stuff ready to go. I think it's a good idea.
Sounds like a great idea. I'm all for it.
Okay, and our next story today, this one is from from our friends at Half Chrome. They're another channel, and they've done a brief video.
Today I've got a pretty interesting drone for you. This is the Mu 4.
Whoops. My producer pressed the button early, but let me just quickly talk. So the new MJX Mu 4 is the first... Hang on.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, I'm getting mixed up. I totally got mixed up. The new MJX Mu 4 is the first folding drone from MJX. And the reason I got mixed up, we've got another folding one story later, and I was just getting mixed up in my mind between the two. So if the Anafi and the Mavic 2 Pro were to have a baby, the Mu 4 would be the result. And it's an incredibly stable GPS drone with a 2K camera and 180-degree rotating gimbal. There's a new drone in town. Let's have a quick look at this footage.
Hey guys, Jack from Half Chrome. Today I've got a pretty interesting drone for you. This is the Mu 4 from MJX. It's a lot different than a lot of their bugs drones that I've flown, that maybe some of you have flown. And it kind of takes some stylistic cues from both the Anafi and the Mavic 2. So, which one is it more like, or is this a completely different drone? Well, stay tuned and we'll find out.
So I've left you with the teaser. You know, I've put that little bit there, but I do encourage everyone here to go and have a look at the description for the video today, or if perhaps Lloyd or one of the other guys can put a link to the channel in there, that'd be really appreciated. Yep, down below in the chat room. And have a look at that for some more details. I think this looks like a really, really good aircraft, and the channel there, the Half Chrome channel, they've done a pretty decent review.
Yeah, it looks cool.
So moving on from there, a Georgia man pleads guilty to attempting to drop drugs in a prison by drone. He attempted to drop drugs into Autry State Prison, according to Charles Peeler, the United States Attorney for the Middle District of Georgia.
New at our First Alert desk in just the last half hour, federal prosecutors in South Georgia say they have gotten the country's first known federal conviction under the current drone registration law. WLB News 10's Emily Forrester joins us now. Emily, tell us about this conviction.
Jim, it came in within the last 90 minutes in Albany federal court. So Eric Lee Brown pleaded guilty, and federal prosecutors say with that guilty plea, he admitted to trying to drop illegal drugs into Autry State Prison in Mitchell County using a drone. So the charge he pleaded guilty to is kind of a mouthful. It's on your screen there. One count of operating an aircraft eligible for registration, knowing that the aircraft is not registered to facilitate a controlled substance offense. Now, Brown is from Lithonia. Federal prosecutors say he was arrested back in March 2018. That's when investigators say they believe he tried to drop almost 300 grams of marijuana into the prison using a drone. So a federal judge will sentence Brown in the coming days. He faces a max of 5 years in prison, 3 years supervised release, and a $250,000 fine. Now, federal prosecutors told us this proves they're using drone regulations to fight prison contraband.
So I find that really interesting, the fact that they're using aviation regulations. It wasn't something, well, you've done something bad. You tried to take drugs into our prison. No, you've used an aircraft for a purpose for which you were not licensed.
Right. Did they say what kind of drone they used?
Why? Are you thinking of going into business?
No, because if it was a Karma, well, you know, that'd be kind of, there's your problem right there.
I need a boom tish button for that one. That was a bad line. Anyway, where are you, Kelly Green? Okay, moving on from that story. So the next story here, we've got the Hyperlab design and control of a passively morphing quadcopter is the title of this story. traditional quadcopter design have rigid arms. A research team in the University at Berkeley has developed a drone that can fold itself into a smaller size mid-air while flying and then expand again just as quickly. Sprung hinges replace the typically rigid connections between the arms of the quadcopter. This design allows the arms of the quadcopter to fold downward at low thrust, resulting in a reduction of the largest dimension of the vehicle by approximately 50%.
We present a novel quadcopter design that enables rapid aerial morphing without the use of additional actuators. Hinges enable the arms to rotate freely, and constant force springs provide the force needed to change configurations. During normal flight, the thrust forces keep the arms unfolded, but when no thrust is applied, the springs pull the arms into the folded configuration. The design allows for the vehicle to fly through gaps that a standard quadcopter would not be able to fit through. The gap traversal maneuver consists of 3 parts. First, the approach trajectory brings the vehicle to a state that will result in its passage through the gap. Next, the propeller thrusts are reduced so that the arms fold inward and the vehicle traverses the gap in projectile motion. Finally, the vehicle unfolds and recovers on the other side of the gap. In this example, it is impossible for the vehicle to traverse the gap in the unfolded configuration in any orientation. During normal flight, the vehicle is kept in the unfolded configuration by bounding a combination of the minimum total thrust and body torques produced by the propellers. By enforcing these bounds, we guarantee that the vehicle will stay in the unfolded configuration, meaning that existing path planning algorithms and controllers can easily be used to control the vehicle.
This is kind of cool, except for the fact that I'm just trying to work out a few things. One, how do you land? Yeah, I'm just imagining reducing the thrust and coming down, and all of a sudden, whoop, your arms have gone like that, and you're going to land on your props. That's not going to end well.
Yeah, how did they get through the little hoop? They have a piece of cheese or something saying, come on, jump through, jump through.
Well, I'd say they would have been using some pre-programmed AI technology and some cameras and some fancy stuff, which brings me to my second point. How useful is it in the real world? It's a really good party trick, but I just don't know where it can be useful in the real world. I think it's good in terms of research, but don't know if it's really all that useful.
Well, maybe if you're going into tight places like, say you have a building that collapsed and you're looking for survivors. You want to change shape and to get around some obstacles that might limit the size that a drone could get through.
True, if that particular hole happens to be, that configuration and you're trying to fly that way. But just imagine, what if your hole is vertically up? You need to increase thrust to go up, and the springs are therefore not going to actuate and you can never go up through a hole. Or conversely, just imagine if you fly down through a hole and you literally invert the drone, go down. Okay, we've finished our exploration down there. We want to go up again. How do we get back up? Whoops, we can't. Good idea. Don't know how practical it is.
There you go. Reverse thruster.
Reverse thrust. Yeah. Our next story, the title of this one is Stinker. Researchers at the Barcelona's Institute of Bioengineering of California, IBEC, have adapted an off-the-shelf micro drone to detect toxic gases. Called SNAV, the Smelling Nano Aero Vehicle, this micro drone weighs just 35 grams and has a payload of nanometric MOX gas sensors capable of registering carbon monoxide, methane, and other organic volatile compounds, including ethanol, acetone, and benzene. I must say I'm happy that Lloyd is not here this week, because I know that we would hear a few sound effects as soon as I mention toxic gases.
What's methane?
Methane? You don't know what it is?
Yeah, we say methane.
Oh. Well, I can't help your backwards pronunciation of the Queen's English. We use the proper pronunciation over here.
It's a controversy.
Yeah. Okay, next on the agenda, and Lloyd, sorry, I didn't have a fart sound effect. Sorry. Anyway, UPS is working to become the first commercial entity authorized by the FAA to use autonomous delivery drones without any of the current restrictions that have governed the.
There you go. There's your fart for the day.
Okay. As I was saying, without any of the current restrictions that have governed the aerial testing that it has done to date. Previous UPS testing includes a trial earlier this year using multi-rotor drones to deliver blood and other medical samples to hospitals' testing facilities in North Carolina. This aircraft could operate under specific FAA exemptions. This week, UPS announced that it has applied for the FAA certification to allow it to operate revenue-generating drone flights without those restrictions and potentially to become the first commercial entity to do so. If approved, the first drone operations are planned to be for medical, commercial and industrial customers. Regular consumers have to wait a little while longer, while drone deliveries for tennis rackets and toilet paper. So interesting. We knew it was going to happen. We've got the drone delivery kind of stuff with UPS wanting to get there. But as some of the other stuff that we've already seen before, they're focusing on a lot of that medical delivery and the whole idea of, the Project Wing stuff that we've seen in Canberra, delivering burritos and coffee. I just don't know if it's going to take off. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Detect methane.
We've gone past methane.
Okay, moving right along. Yeah.
Okay. Next on today, we've a complaint was filed in Michigan's 7th Circuit Court asking a judge to order, and I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this correctly, Genesee County to cease enforcement of their unlawful drone ordinance. How do you say it?
Genesee,
okay. To cease enforcement of their unlawful drone ordinance in the first such case in the county. Michigan has, the state Michigan has a robust UAS preemption law which prohibits local government units from enacting or enforcing any rules regarding unmanned aircraft. Genesee County has chosen to enact a drone ordinance flouting this law, and they've also decided to arrest individuals for operating drones over the park property. And they've even gone to great lengths to prevent drone flights. One pilot was arrested, but those charges were later dismissed when it was found that the existing ordinances were found to not include drones, so it was only model aircraft. The park fought back, and the local government fought back by updating their laws, after which this particular court action was filed. So this is actually a copy of the subpoena that you saw on the screen just now. A little bit later in the show, we've actually got a representative from the team who put this together sitting in the chat there. And that's KSH243.
Oh, okay.
Genesee. I hope I've got it right now.
Genesee.
So after we have our guest on today, so Greg Hilton is going to be our guest in a little while. After he's gone, we'll get KSH243 to come into the show, and we'll say hello and have a little chat about how that action's likely to progress. We've got one more story today, so let's get to that now. And there we go. Chinese manufacturer Heidlas is betting that there are plenty of potential customers who need aerial data. This video shows the previous product that they were using, and that was just a drone landing pad and charging system, which is pretty cool. It was originally designed for use with modified DJI aircraft, but they've now gone a step further and they've had a look at this particular solution and said, how can we modify that and have our own drone instead of having a custom DJI drone? So as soon as we finish with the video from the original, in fact, let's just go to the next video now. We'll go to that one. So this one is a takeoff and landing. I think it was a Mavic Air. I can't see it quite from
it
here.
looks like a Mavic Air.
Yeah. So as you can see, right, so you've got those little rails that go and help to both lock it in place and provide a stable way to plug in for charging. And when the drone lands, it goes and puts it right in the right place so it can go and do that again. So that's kind of neat. That's kind of cool. There we go. Now, the challenge was that this was originally built for modified DJI aircraft. Let's have a look at the photo. Their new product now includes the same auto charging pad, but they're also including a drone, a cloud service system, and modified landing gear and battery, and an optional rainproof canopy, and their nest-shaped base station. So the complete solution, and here's where I was absolutely blown away, the complete solution costs $2,000 US or $1,999 US. That is an incredible price, and it makes the system a very cost-effective solution that I think will suit a multitude of applications. Oh, Arthur, what are you doing there? You're falling apart, mate. I think this is going to suit a lot of applications. If you have a look, just starting with security, building surveillance, prisons where, let's say, the guards want to go and have something that they can go and send up and deal with a particular problem without sending a patrol into a potentially dangerous area. So many applications. Anyway, so we're going to leave that there now, and we're going to go to
It's good news. So there will be no news from now on. So there.
the news-free zone, and we're going to come to our guest, Mr. Greg Hilton.
I'm driving along and I'm just singing my
I think it's rather appropriate that we've got this song here today. Mr. Hilton, how are you? Producer, can you make his mic go live? There we go. Do you recognise that song?
I know where it's from. That's from the Auntie Jack show. Yeah, I've worked on that.
Is.
But I don't recognise the actual song. No.
Well, it was past the Arne Jack show, and they did something after that called News Free Zone. And it was another ABC production, and they used a lot of the old Arne Jack material and did new skits and kind of brought that back and made it fresh again. So it was something that I love watching years gone by, and I thought it was appropriate to get out of the news and get into the real world again. Speaking...
Yes.
For those who don't know you, you're a previous ABC TV cameraman. You're the person who does a lot of the background stuff, pulling together Explore Australia and FPV Korner for us, and just thought I'd share that. But what have you been doing with yourself other than that? We heard about a medical issue some time back, and I wanted to update our audience on that.
Yes, unfortunately I had a series of strokes in quick succession, fell down, broke my coccyx. And thanks to you, Greg. No, I really thank you for that. I managed to ring Greg up. I thought it was about 7:30 at the night. I rang Greg up and wanted to have a chat about some stuff that I'd sent him. And he said, "Do you know what time it is? It's 1:15 in the morning." And I thought, what?
Yeah.
And Greg called an ambulance, and they took me to Prince Charles Hospital when they found out that I'd had about 4 or 5 mini strokes. And yes, the doctor told me I had a stroke while I was having a stroke.
One wasn't good enough. You had to have multiple strokes at the same time.
Oh, wow. Yes.
So just the story for those people who hadn't heard it before. Yeah. So as I said, Greg helps us putting together some of the segments, and he called me at 1:00 in the morning, and it just didn't sound right. And I called up the ambulance, which of course connected me to New South Wales ambulance. So we had to go through a little bit of work to try and get something up to you. I didn't have your address. I just had your phone number. But thankfully it ended well. How's the recovery been going?
It's like trying to play tennis in a pea soup of fog.
Okay.
Bomber commanders had 1,000 plane raid on my brain, and every now and then I get these black spots where I'm just in a limbo of I don't know anything. I can't think. The whole thing stops, and it's not fun. So they've told me due to a condition called arterial fibrillation and an irregular heartbeat. That's why the brain wasn't getting the oxygen that it needed at the time. But they said, give it a while, you'll get over it. Well, it's been 4.5 months now, nearly 5, and it's still like I find myself standing at the kitchen bench with the spoon in my hand, an empty cup in front of me, and I just go, what on earth am I doing? Where am I? What's going on? And I'm making a cup of tea. I mean, it's ridiculous. So due to little episodes like that, I've grounded myself. I'm not flying. I don't want to have the P4A in the air and smack it into a tree because the brain decided not to function for a moment, Yeah.
But, by the way, I'm just watching here. There was a comment from Ken Heron. You're the most Australian-looking broadcasting dude ever, or words to that effect. It's already come off the screen, but look,
possibly. If you're going to be a rock star, look like one.
Absolutely. So I've got a video clip which we were going to use as a kind of a news feature. Let's play that in the background and just talk a little bit about our country. There we go. So I've taken the music out so we can have a chat here. So if you, by the way, to people watching today, go to the description for the video where you can see the original pilot for that and have a look at that. But this is a clip about Australia and some of our dams, how they are performing in drought. Now, you live in Queensland. You don't have this problem up there.
This is in Queensland. This is out the Darling. This is in the Darling Downs area. This is out at Warwick. This is the river system that feeds into the Murray. So this is how much water you're going to get down the Murray this year. And this dam, as it says, is down to 6%. We haven't had a lot of rain up here at all. It has been so dry. All the people down around Melbourne and the southern end of Australia have been getting nice, good rain, and we've had nothing up here. It's as dry as lawns and parks are just brown. The place is not green at all where it should be. Just
to be clear, this is not the road leading to the dam. This is the dam, and you can see what little water is there.
It's been so dry. You can see where people have driven out and around to get down to the little bit that's left because they probably figure the dam levels drop so much the fish will be at a higher concentration, they'll catch more. But that's what a dam looks like in Australia when it's empty.
And just to be clear, this is not the only part of Australia with water problems at the moment. Even in Sydney, where I live, we have water restrictions at the moment. Our dam, we've got the Warragamba and Warrenora dams. Thankfully, I'm off one of the dams that's a little bit higher. I think I'm off Warrenora and it's higher. But the Warragamba dam was down to, let me have a look. I'll Google it while we wait here. Sydney's dam levels, Water New South Wales. Warragamba Dam is at 52.2%, which the only reason why it's actually, here we go, 51.1. I stand corrected. It's gone further down. The reason why it's not lower is because we've got this desalination plant that everyone thought was a waste of time and money years ago. But as it turns out, we're needing it now. But what really upsets me is the fact that in this country, we don't build more dams. We don't build water infrastructure, even though we know we're a country of droughts and flooding rains.
We haven't really been building any infrastructure in this country since World War II. And most of that was built by the Americans, bless their cotton socks. And it's crazy. A succession of governments who just really don't care. And it's madness. We're lucky here in Brisbane that we've got the Wivenhoe dams up to about 66%, and that should get us through the summer. But we're heading into a El Nino cycle, and that's going to be a long, hot, dry summer.
Yeah, actually, I just Googled the Woronora Dam, and I thought it was previously up higher, but that's not correct. The Woronora Dam is currently closed as part of an upgrade to the electrical systems at the dam. They've also found asbestos at the site, and the dam will remain closed while they're doing a full site assessment. I don't know if the dam level is lower than normal due to some of that work, but it's down at 41.9%. So, yeah.
Well, they'll just have to do as best as they can, won't they?
Oh, that was bad. Yeah. Anyway, that video that we had a look at was by, who was the person who did that? I've lost the name of the person.
I can't remember off the top of my head. But yes, it'll be in the description, won't it, Greg?
It will be. I always make sure I put all of that kind of stuff in there. So look, Greg, it's good that you're here. It's good that you're compass mentis enough to have a conversation with us, and that you've, had a significant recovery, and we wish you the best and continued recovery. And more importantly, we thank you for all of the contributions you make each and every week to the show in putting together Explore Australia and the other clips that we use. It's very much appreciated.
Keeps me out of the pub,
Okay, so what we're going to do now, it's at 11:31, so I might do this. So I'm going to say goodbye to you, Greg. We're going to have a look at an FPV Korner for this clip for this week, and we've got that guy from the US, I've forgotten his name, he was part of that coalition. We'll get him to join in the slot where you are at the moment, and we'll have a quick chat to him about that legal case update. So again, Greg, thank you very, very much. Nice chatting to you.
Not a problem. It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Okay, see you soon. So
Cheers.
Back to Mr. Artie. There we go.
Yeah.
So FPV Korner, let's go and play this week's video. Okay, so Greg, can you disconnect, and we'll wait for our other alternate person to join in. There we go. So again, as I said, Greg Hilton puts this together each and every week for us. This one was from Ryan Todd, and this was some practicing at Belvedere Castle at Perth on the 20th of July this year, so very current. Some HD footage from a windy practice at this particular location. And there we go. So that was this week's FPV Korner. Thank you very, very much to our creator for that. Again, check out the description. Go to his channel. Go and support his channel. And Grumps, if you want to go and put that in there, that'd be very much appreciated as well. Now, we're going to go to our second guest of the day. This was a little bit unplanned. We spoke a little bit earlier today about a law case happening in the US. Now, can you just, I've forgotten your name because this was very quickly arranged. What was your name again?
That's okay. I'm Jason Harrison, and I'm the president of Michigan Coalition of Drone Operators.
Hello, Jason. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining at short notice. So tell me, how did the coalition get started? When was it formed?
So it was just formed earlier this year, and really in response to Genesee County and their unlawful drone ordinance.
Okay. And was it you that was flying that day? Was it you that was arrested?
Yes, I'm that guy.
Okay. So tell us the story.
All right. It's not super exciting. I had been contacted previously by the park police and told that they had a policy that said you can't fly drones in the park. And it was very cordial. I was nice to them. They were nice to me. I said, hey, look, I'm going to follow up with your boss because there's this state law that says that you shall not regulate unmanned aircraft. I don't really know the law number and all that, but I'll look it up for you. And so I did. I went ahead and got a hold of their boss, the director of the park, and the chief of the park police, and said, hey, look, one of your officers said that we can't fly drones in the park. And he came back and said basically, hey, look, we don't care what state law says, but we don't want people flying drones in our parks. And
one question that was coming to me is they've got this law that says local government can't regulate to prevent this. What was the listed penalty for breaching that law? Do they actually say, like, what's the point of a law if it's unenforceable? Do they say we're going to fine your local government $100,000 a day if they break that law? Or are we going to imprison the mayor or the park ranger or anyone? How is that enforceable?
That's a great question. So there is no penalty attached to this particular law. So the remedy that you can seek, one of the remedies is what we're doing right now. We're going to court to get what's called a declaratory action. And it's just getting a judge to order the municipality to follow the law. And if they violate the judge's order, then they'll be in big trouble. But they don't get fined a certain amount. There's no actual penalty written into the law for the municipality.
Yeah. Okay. So let's continue. The original event, you were arrested, you were handcuffed.
So it was kind of a process. So the time I got arrested, I have flown in these parks lots and lots and lots of times over a pretty long period of time. The day of the arrest, I was flying. I was approached by an officer who said, hey, you can't fly drones here. And I was really polite. And I actually knew he was coming because a park employee came up and told me that, hey, I just called the cops on you. So I started my phone recording and have a recording of the incident. And officer shows up. He was pretty polite, said, hey, you can't fly here. And I'm like, hey, I'm really sorry. I'm pretty smart about drone laws, and I didn't know you're not allowed to fly here. Can you show me where that's written? And I asked that question because I knew that he could not show me where it's written because there were no rules about flying unmanned aircraft in the park at all. So he called for backup. Some more officers came, maybe 5 or 6. And the second officer I dealt with, he was kind of all torqued up right from the get-go. And he was showing me their ordinance, and I was trying to get him to read it because I was 100% convinced if he just read the words, which said you had to be in an airplane to violate the statute, I was 100% convinced if he would just read the rule, then he would kind of calm down and be like, oh, yeah, you're right. But he didn't.
But you know what? That's even crazy. The fact that they're saying you have to be in an airplane, are we saying that you're not allowed to fly a 747 over the top of this park?
Well, specifically, it said that you can't ascend or descend over the park. So presumably, yes, you're not allowed to lose or gain altitude in a 747 over the park property. Not that they're going to enforce that, but I mean, that is what the rule says.
That's just absolutely insane. How can you have airspace, and the airspace is everything above the ground, which is owned and governed by the FAA, and these people, these small-minded, I don't know, I could come up with some insults, but they're just brain dead. It doesn't make sense.
It does not make sense. I know this, you know this, and in reality, they know it also. They just, I think it's about power. I don't think it's about drones or unmanned aircraft.
Yeah. And I've got a problem with some of our laws in Australia. So what happens in Australia is you've got national park saying, well, we can't regulate the airspace, but we can tell you you can't control an aircraft on the ground from this location. Now, technically speaking, they can do that as well. But what really irks me in Australia is they say the policy is you need to approach the park manager and get permission to fly. But when you do that, they actually tell you, well, you can't fly anywhere in this park. Thank you. Come again. Have a nice day.
Now, federally, that's pretty much how our laws work with the FAA. But in Michigan and now several other states, we're lucky that we have a drone preemption law. And if I can just read it real quick, it's real short. It says, except as expressly authorized by statute, a political subdivision shall not enact or enforce an ordinance or resolution that regulates the ownership or operation of unmanned aircraft, or otherwise engage in the regulation of the ownership or operation of unmanned aircraft. And that's because the state does not want local municipalities making rules about where you can operate aircraft from or how you can operate aircraft.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why this law exists isn't really for hobbyists. That's not why the law got passed, even though it affects hobbyists in a positive way. It's really written for commercial entities. Like one thing that's happening right now in the United States is we have old infrastructure just like you, and they're flying drones in certain states over every single mile of the electrical transmission line. And the drones, using AI, they take photographs of all the connection points on the poles, and they're able to find problems and automatically generate work orders if they find any problem. And there's no way, like I've talked to some owners of companies that do this, and there's no way an owner like that can be trying to get the work done and fly all these miles of transmission line if they have to stop in every municipality and try to figure out what the drone rules are. And that's why this law exists.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, what happens next? So, have you thought about deliberately going and flying before the outcome of this case to see what happens?
Before we decided to do this case, we had planned a fly-in at the park, like kind of post-arrest. And you did a good job describing what happened. I got arrested, the charges got thrown out. So, and this was winter time, so we waited till summer. Planned to have a drone fly-in, and a bunch of people came to a park so we could all fly drones. And the director of the park closed the park for the day, just chained it right up, wouldn't let anybody in. And so we went to another nearby park that's owned by it's in the same system. And they had several police officers, maybe 5 or 6, that had 1 or 2 that watched us constantly, and the rest of them circled us like sharks in their police cars and drove around us, just harassing us for the next 2 or 3 hours. And in the end, we chose not to fly drones that day because it became obvious to us that they were really looking to arrest more people. And on the recommendation of our superstar attorney, he said, look, it's going to cost lots of money and take lots of time and effort, and really is a little bit dangerous to put yourself in a position to be arrested. And it would be a lot easier and cheaper and safer to just go to court and get this declaratory action. So that's what we decided to do. And kind of the recommendation to other drone flyers right now is that you should not go fly in the park till we kind of get this sorted out.
Yeah. You know what? It's an interesting one. Should you fly there now? I would actually suggest, now that you've got the action in the court system, if someone flew now and was arrested now, there would be some serious damages out of that, because they're taking action knowing that their actions are being challenged. So, they may be personally liable, the individual police officers. They can't claim, well, we didn't know that this was false arrest, or that this was,
Yes, I do know. And I personally, I don't want to be involved in a lawsuit against an officer who's, having a bad day or acting inappropriately. Like, that's, while it's a tool in the toolkit, it's not something I personally want to be involved with.
Yeah.
But,
look, it's an interesting one, and it's one that I want to follow. I've got the view that federally, that's where aviation laws get set. I don't think there should even be a state-level preemption law, that it should be set federally, and I thought it was. But I'm no lawyer, and let's not try and break all that apart today. But yeah, it's just ridiculous, and I wish you the best of luck, and I'd love to hear back from you as it progresses.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. So let's move on to a couple of other topics for the day.
Hey, Greg, this is just nuts. I lived in that area for many years. Maybe they're afraid they're going to expose another corruption in the water treatment in Flint, because that's where they had some problems with the drinking water there in Flint, Michigan, where they were getting their water from the river, and it turns out it's got high levels of lead, and maybe they're a little paranoid about that and don't want to let that get out.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of people who have a view that a lot of the anti-drone government sentiment is related to them trying to hide or cover up things that might potentially be seen by drones. Right. That is totally possible, but it's hard to prove it. It's a bit of a conspiracy theory point. But before we do anything else, let's move on to our competition. So this is something one of our partners, flythere.com. I've just got Nightbot to go and post the instructions. Now, here's what you need to do. You need to post on Facebook, Twitter, or whatever social media platform of your choice. I want to fly in, and you pick your location that you want to go to with @FlyThereNow. Want to come with me, and you're asking your friends if they want to go and explore as well, and post the URL. So if you go to flythere.com right now, and you can have a look on their website, go there right now, and you can have a look where you can fly. So at the moment, you can fly in Manila. You can fly there right now in Thailand. They've got other locations. I know you can do Indonesia. It all depends where the pilots are available at the particular time of day. So what I'll get people to do, pick your location. Do you want to fly in Thailand? Do you want to fly in Manila? Do you want to fly in Indonesia? Post that on the social media platform of your choice. And next week, we're going to give away a voucher. Now, here's what I'm going to suggest to you. A lot of our audience are drone flyers, drone pilots. So you already know what it's like to fly. Instead of you taking this flight yourself, give it to someone who's not a drone pilot. Get them interested in flying and in the hobby. I think that'd be a good way to, share some of the fun that you have and go sit with them, and that'd be really cool. Speaking of which, I'm just having a look at the website at the moment. It's currently raining in Thailand. So even though the pilot's there ready today, it's raining. The Philippines, you could fly there now if that was something that was interesting to you. Anyway, so fly there now. Post that. Next week, we're going to give it away.
Cool. Corregidor is a cool place to fly at, which is not very far from Manila. And then there's Intramurals, if they allow you to fly over that, that'd be cool.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of the Philippines, I have to say, this little can over here, I don't know if I can get it close enough, calamansi drink. I've got my Filipino calamansi juice drink. I love that. Anyway. So we've got a couple of other things left to do. Next week, I'm not going to do it today. Ask the Oracle. We're going to next week get Lloyd Mendenhall, our local Oracle, to come back and ask him anything. Or if it's a tech question, ask me or whoever else we have around next week. I've talked about the competition. We're getting close to the end of the show, so it's now time for Explore Australia. Again, thank you always to Greg Hilton for putting together these clips each and every week. This first one was Tour de Temu. This is the Victorian High Country in Australia. It was originally shot in 4K, so you're seeing only the 720p version here. If you want to see the high resolution 4K version, I encourage you to go to the description. Click on that, go to his channel and check it out. And again, Lloyd, if you could post some of those links, that would be absolutely awesome. Our second clip from Ullo Baker on a foggy winter's morning in Tooma, New South Wales. He spent some time testing a Panasonic UX90, cutting that together with Phantom 4 and also footage even from his Google Pixel phone. So he had a bit of fun putting all of that together. There we go. There's Australia for you. And as I said, go and check out his channel. Click the link in the description. Go and have a look at some more of his footage. And for those of you not in Australia, go and get your passport and come over, especially Ken Heron. Our third video, Max World, Tasmania 2019. This is a cinematic drone edit, day 1 out of 7 in Tasmania. So this is only day 1. Go and have a look at day 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 on his channel. He says that this is the most beautiful island in Australia, and I tend to agree with him. The equipment he used was a Mavic Air 4K. The locations that he went to in Hobart, tessellated pavement was one particular location he went to, Eagle Hawk Neck and Waterfall Bay. And number 4 today, Udo Wiedmann, Outback Waterhole, travelling outback Australia, finding special places, filmed from the air with a drone. Oops, little bit of a gimbal flop there. That's something that I used to have happening with my Phantom before. It must have either been a windy day at that time to have that happen or a fault with your gimbal, so yeah. And we got a few birds around there. Oh. Obviously he didn't have his Ken Heron eyeballs on.
Yeah. Oy. God. Wow.
And our last clip today, this one is a channel called Ship Therapy. Now, Greg Hilton, who we had on earlier, our segment producer, he left a particular remark regarding this particular video, and he says, you can tell Phil is a cameraman by the way he sets himself up for the transitions between shots. And bloody lovely work too, he says, on your Phil. So this video is entitled Ship Chase 26. So he's done a few of them. And just to be clear, the area that he's flying, he would definitely have permission. I understand he's got a REOC and so forth, so he's definitely flying legally out there at Port Botany. This one is the Conti Gothenburg, one of the last voyages of that ship as it arrives in Port Botany. He's filming with a Mavic Pro 4K. That particular ship was a 5th generation Panamax container vessel, he says. And she was caught as she steamed into Botany Bay on a hazy spring afternoon arriving from Melbourne. It was not heavily loaded at the time, but cut a very imposing figure on approach. He goes on to say the profoundly scalloped bow looks impressive as we arc across it, followed by the close pass down the starboard side that we're watching right now, catching plenty of detail. beautiful ship, and an enjoyable chase. Sadly, this ship is no more. This October 2018 trip to Australia was one of the Conti's Gothenburg's last trips. Soon after, she travelled to Singapore. Her name was changed to Othen, and then her flag was changed to that of Palau, and she was sold to shipbreakers. She reported arriving at someplace, I don't know how to say it, Bhavnagar on 17th of December 2018, and 2 days later she was beached at the Alang Ship Scrapyard. 17 years in service, and he says, I hope you enjoy this farewell chase to the Gothenburg.
Cool.
Very, very, very big boat, 275 by 40 metres. The dead weight of the ship is 68,063 tonnes, built in 2002 by Hyundai Heavy Industries. And I understand the operator of the ship during the time when it was in service was the Maersk Line out of Copenhagen, Denmark. Just as we watch the last little piece of today's Explore Australia, a couple of quick reminders. Do enter the competition that we spoke about a short while ago, flythere.com. All you need to do is post that message that I put in the chat to a social media platform of your choice, replace the location with the location you want to go to. Make sure it is one of the Fly There locations. And thanks very much to flythere.com for their support of this channel. And then the week after that, we're going to do something similar again with our other partner, No Limit Drones. So we'll give away another No Limit Drones license. Similar thing, I'll give you something to say next week so that you can win that competition as well. As always, if you want to have your videos featured on Oz by Drone, just send it to the address that we'll put up after our Explore Australia clip today. I'll put that up on the screen for you. I see Greg Hilton is asking how many viewers are dancing to the music, and someone's responding toe tapping at least.
Yeah. Well, Greg, I do have a joke for you.
You've got a joke for me?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Where do pirates get their hooks?
Okay, where do pirates get their hooks?
The second-hand store.
That doesn't deserve a badum-tish.
Okay, well, it's better than methane.
Okay. Look, thank you very much, everyone, for watching today. I'm just having a look here. Fun fact, the bulbous nose on the bow increases the efficiency of the vessel. No, I didn't know that at all. No buffering today. Telstra rocks, according to Peter DeMester. So that's really good. We did have a quick buffering problem at the very beginning of the show, but it restored itself, so that was good.
Good. That's because I'm on.
Oh, absolutely. Which drone was used for that? Do me a favor, Peter, if you want to check that out, go back to the description, go to his channel, and you can have a look. I think it was a Mavic. I did have it in my notes. Where have I put my paper? Never mind, it's gone. I think it was a Mavic though. Here we go. Late news item here. No, where are we?
Yeah, where are we?
No, I can't see it. Mavic Pro 4K. Yes, definitely a Mavic Pro. Thank you to my producer. So that's all we've got time for today. It's right on the top of the hour. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you to you, Arthur. For people who want to go and check out Arthur's channel, go and head over there. Link in the description. Actually, I don't think I have your link in there. I'll put it in there. I will put it in there straight after the show. Thank you especially to Lloyd Mendenhall, the grumpy vlogger, for pushing the button for the little things that come up on the screen down here. He's the one who does that. Lloyd Mendenhall, the phantom grump, we call him. And thanks to my wife. Without her, this show would be nothing. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Bye for now. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.